Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. For those of you that don't know, Elden Ring just got a huge update, patch 1.07, that completely changes the way we play the game. If you guys want to check out the patch notes, I put a link in the description below. A huge list of changes across the board to weapons, spells, and incantations, but the one thing on this list that I was really looking forward to was the buff to colossal weapons. And also a huge thank you to everybody that ordered from Advanced GG. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. I'm seeing a lot of positive feedback, and if you guys want to save some money on the best gaming supplement on the market, use my code COLD20 for 20% off at checkout. Patch 1.07 is here, which means now is the perfect time to show you guys an updated strength build that focuses on one of my favorite weapons in Elden Ring, the Colossal Greatsword. This weapon has been a staple of the From Software games, and honestly, it's one of the best options for pretty much any strength build. The first thing you'll notice with colossal weapons after patch 1.07 is their overall attack speed and ability to dodge attacks a lot quicker than before. Before this update, colossal weapons required a lot of patience and timing. Although this is still the case after patch 1.07, you have less room for errors and many opportunities to finish off your opponents. I can honestly say that the Colossal Greatsword is one of the best weapons in the game right now. Looking at the general balance adjustments in the 1.07 patch notes, we can see a couple things here. Increased poise damage when using two-handed normal attacks. This works especially well with the Colossal Greatsword. Increase the speed of some Colossal Sword attacks. The speed and hit detection of Colossal Sword crouching and rolling attacks have been decreased. I know a lot of people might appreciate this, especially for PvP. Decreased recovery time for Colossal Swords and Colossal weapons, except for jump attacks, dual-wielded attacks, and attacks while riding. Increased poise damage of hammers, great hammers, and some Colossal weapons. The poise rating of some attacks have been increased for the following weapons: Great Swords, Colossal Swords, Curved Great Swords, Great Axes, Great Hammers, Great Spears, and Halberds. Since Colossal weapons received a pretty significant buff, I figured today was the perfect time to show you guys an updated strength build that I've been using after patch 1.07. Does a lot of damage, very reliable, and honestly, probably one of the strongest strength builds I've ever made. I'm sure you may have already noticed, but we are using the Lion's Claw weapon skill on our Colossal Sword. I just feel like Lion's Claw is such a good option for a weapon like this because you already have so much base damage, and the Lion's Claw jump attack allows you to dodge attacks and also land a pretty heavy blow on your target. This, combined with the Flame Art weapon affinity, along with the right talismans, items, and attribute allocation, of course, will provide you with one of the best strength builds that you can make in Elden Ring. The Colossal Greatsword is actually very simple to get. Head over to Caelid on the eastern part of the map, and you will eventually find a site of grace called the Caelem Ruins. Once you are at the site of grace, you will see a black wagon at the end of the road here. But keep in mind, there are some enemies we have to take care of, and that's exactly what we're going to do today. I'm going to show you exactly what this build is like in action. I know there's two here that we have to take care of real quick. This guy is most likely going to push me. There it is. Might miss. I missed. Got that one. After you defeat all of the enemies, go ahead and go over to the wagon in the back. There's going to be a chest that you can open. Once you open this chest, you will get the Colossal Greatsword, one of the best strength weapons in Elden Ring. I feel like if you guys want to make this build, it really helps to understand what exactly you need to focus on. The three main attributes you want to focus on for this build is Vigor, Endurance, and Strength. Also keep in mind, your starting attributes are going to be different than mine because I chose the Warrior class when I started the game, but the attributes here are going to be similar and they are going to follow a similar trend. At level 50, we would have Vigor at 25, Endurance at 20, I would highly recommend increasing your endurance over time so you can carry heavier armor, heavier weapons, and just be more efficient overall. And then I would increase your strength to 30 when you're around level 50, just to get as much physical attack power as possible. At level 100, we increase some other attributes as well. You can see here we have Vigor at 40, we increased our Mind to 15, Endurance 30, Strength at 45, and I recommend increasing your Faith to at least 15 so you can take advantage of the Flame Grant Me Strength incantation that boosts your physical attack power and Fire Affinity attack power, which is actually really important for this build. At level 150, we increased our Vigor to 50, we have Mind at 20, Endurance 40. Like I mentioned, Endurance is important because the higher our Endurance, the higher our equipment load, which means we can hold more items. We have Strength at the soft cap of 60, I think 60 is a great spot to be at, especially at this level. And then we increased our Faith to 25 so we could take advantage of the Golden Vow, Incantation, and possibly some other incantations that fit within this level right here. My character is level 256. I am on New Game Plus 7 at the moment. For Vigor, I have 60, Mind at 31, Endurance at 60, which means I can pretty much equip any armor and hold any weapons or items. We have Strength at 80, which means a lot of physical attack power. And once you get into endgame and you increase the level of your character, it opens more room for opportunity to increase other attributes. So I decided to increase my Faith to 60 in case I wanted to take advantage of some of the great incantations in Elden Ring. Like I mentioned earlier, the weapon skill that I'm using on my Colossal Sword is the Lion's Claw. Not only that, but we are using a special weapon affinity for our Colossal Sword, the Flame Art Affinity, which gives us a huge amount of physical and fire attack power for our weapon. This is going to give us 310 plus 150 physical attack power and 310 plus 145 fire damage. You can see here my Colossal Greatsword is fully upgraded, plus 25, scales evenly with both strength and faith when you use this weapon affinity. But keep in mind, if you are somewhere around level 100, level 150, I recommend making a pure strength build using the heavy weapon affinity to give you the most amount of damage possible. And then obviously, later on in the game, as you start to increase other attributes just like faith, you have the ability to take advantage of the Flame Art Affinity that provides us with a different way to do damage to our enemies. To cast your incantations, you will obviously need a seal. I'm using the Gravelstone seal, fully upgraded, plus 25. S tier faith scaling, and we get a boost to Dragon Cult incantations. For the apparel, I'm using the Banished Knight armor set, probably one of the coolest armor sets in Elden Ring. You can see here I have the Banished Knight helm, the Banished Knight armor altered, Banished Knight gauntlets, and I'm actually using the Veteran's Greaves, which is one of the mini bosses you fight in the game. I think this outfit is amazing, and it gives us a lot of protection. Since our endurance is so high, I think it makes the most sense to use a good set of armor that's going to give you the most amount of protection possible. To be honest, the only incantations you really need for a strength build are Golden Vow and Flame Grant Me Strength. Obviously, as you continue to increase your faith attribute, you can take advantage of some other incantations just like Blessing of the Erd Tree, for example, but honestly, Golden Vow and Flame Grant Me Strength is all you need. Golden Vow is going to increase your offense and defense by 15%, and Flame Grant Me Strength is going to give us an additional 20% physical and fire affinity attack power, which is why the Flame Art weapon affinity is such a good option for this weapon. Like I mentioned, I also have Blessing of the Erd Tree, which is going to give us HP over time. This is a great incantation to use, especially for boss fights. Some other incantations I like to use just in case you need some range and you don't have the ability to get very close to your target. The Lightning Spear is very good. It doesn't have a very high faith requirement. It does a pretty good amount of damage, and obviously with the right talismans, you can also increase the attack power of this incantation. Another one of my personal favorites, I think the best fire incantation in the game, the Giant's Flame Take Thee. It has a huge radius, does a ton of damage, and you can charge it for more range and power. I also increased my arcane just a little bit so I could take advantage of some of the dragon incantations My personal favorite, Agile's Flame, works great for this build just because we are focusing on fire primarily. There's actually 3 talisman combinations that I recommend for a build like this. We can go over the first one now, which is exactly what I'm using. So we have the Shard of Alexander, which greatly boosts the attack power of our skills, which gives us more damage with our Lion's Claw ability. We also have the Dragoncrest Greatshield Talisman, which also received the buff in patch 1.07, giving us even more survivability. This talisman enormously boosts physical damage negation. I decided to go with the Ritual Sword Talisman just because I feel like my skill level is somewhere where I can play the game in a way where I don't take damage as much. So as long as I have full HP, as long as my HP is at maximum, I can do more damage, and I like having this talisman on my build. Last but not least, we have the Green Turtle Talisman, which raises our stamina recovery speed. I think stamina recovery speed is important for a build like this just because it takes a lot of energy to swing this massive sword. For your second option, you could switch out the last 2 talismans, add in the Phlox Canvas Talisman, which greatly raises potency of incantations, and the Fire Scorpion Charm, which raises our fire attack. This is for anybody that wants to focus more on their incantations, especially if you're going more towards a faith and strength build. This is what I recommend. And for anybody that wants more of a glass cannon approach, I recommend the Shard of Alexander, the Phlox Canvas Talisman, the Fire Scorpion Charm, and the Ritual Sword Talisman. This is going to give us extra attack power with our weapon skill and incantations, making us extremely deadly. For your Wondrous Physic mix, I recommend using the Flame Shrouding Crag tier, which temporarily boosts all fire attacks, and we have the Opaline Bubble tier, which significantly negates damage received. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How do you guys feel about patch 1.07 overall? Do you think it made the game better, or do you think it made the game worse? As always, thank you guys so much for being here. If you found this video helpful in any way, shape, or form, a thumbs up would be very much appreciated. It really helps the channel grow. If you want to see more videos just like this one in the future, I highly recommend subscribing to the channel and becoming a part of the family. Thank you guys so much for all the support. I will see you in the next video.